All right, runners, welcome back to another deep dive. This time we are going all in on running, economy, and cadence.
Oh, yeah. Cadence.
And to help us out, we've got some fascinating research straight from Revo PT Denver.
That's a great source.
It is, it is. And our goal today, simple. We want to help you guys understand how adjusting cadence can make a huge difference, not just in your running performance, but also, importantly, in reducing injury risk. So let's jump right in. What exactly is running cadence? Why is it so important?
Well, cadence, put simply, is the number of steps a runner takes each minute. And it's funny. It's one of those things that often gets overlooked.
Yeah, it's almost too basic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's a fundamental part of good running form. We can't stress that enough.
Absolutely. And Revo PT Denver really digs deep into the benefits of optimizing cadence. They break it down into 4 key areas: improved energy efficiency, reducing your chances of injury, better muscle recruitment, and, get this, optimized oxygen utilization. Pretty impressive for a simple adjustment, right?
You're telling me. And what's even more fascinating is how all those benefits are interconnected.
Yeah, it's like a chain reaction of good stuff happening.
Right. Like optimizing your cadence doesn't just fix one thing. It sets off this whole cascade of positive changes.
So let's take a closer look at these benefits one by one. And honestly, as someone who's always looking to run farther with less effort, I'm really intrigued by this whole energy efficiency thing.
Oh, absolutely. Who isn't? And that's where higher cadence really shines. Basically, the idea is that by taking shorter, quicker strides, you're minimizing the time your foot is on the ground.
So less contact means less energy wasted, right?
Bingo. Less contact, less impact, less energy wasted. It all comes down to reducing what we call vertical oscillation.
Okay, so less of that up and down bouncy motion.
Exactly. It's like you're gliding more, almost like bouncing off the ground. Think about runners with those longer strides. With each step, they're pounding the pavement harder, generating a bigger ground reaction force.
Okay, ground reaction force, gotta love the technical terms.
Yeah.
So the harder you hit the ground, the more force pushes back on you.
Right, exactly. And over time, all that extra force adds up to more energy expenditure. Basically, you tire out faster.
Makes sense. So higher cadence equals less wasted energy. That's benefit number 1. But let's be real, avoiding injuries is a huge motivator for me.
Oh, without a doubt. And that's where cadence plays a crucial role. You see, a lot of runners with a low cadence tend to overstride, landing with their heel way out in front of their body.
Yeah, I can see that.
And what happens? You're putting a ton of stress on your joints, basically setting yourself up for those classic running injuries.
Like shin splints, stress fractures, stuff I'd rather avoid.
Exactly. Shin splints, stress fractures, runner's knee, the list goes on. But with a higher cadence, you naturally shift to a midfoot or even a forefoot landing. And that, my friend, distributes the impact force more evenly across your foot and lower leg.
Okay, so more of a cushioning effect.
You got it. It's like having built-in shock absorbers for your body.
I like the sound of that. All right, benefit number 3. Better muscle recruitment. Now, what's that all about?
Well, with a higher cadence, you're not just letting your quads and glutes carry all the weight. You're getting a wider range of muscles involved. Your calves and hamstrings step up to the plate, and even those crucial stabilizing muscles in your core and hips get activated.
So it's more of a whole body effort.
Precisely. That improved muscle activation leads to better stability and balance.
And ultimately helps with endurance, too, I bet.
Absolutely. It's all about preventing fatigue. When you're using a wider variety of muscles, no single group gets overworked, and that makes a huge difference in how long you can keep going strong.
Okay, last but not least, we have this whole oxygen utilization thing. I have to admit, this one kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. Think of it this way. Your cadence actually impacts how hard your cardiovascular system has to work to deliver oxygen to your muscles. And you know what? Studies have actually shown that runners with an optimized cadence use less oxygen at a given pace.
What? So just by adjusting my cadence, I can breathe easier and use oxygen more efficiently.
It sounds crazy, but it's true. It's like your body becomes this super efficient machine, maximizing those precious resources to keep you running strong.
That's amazing. And I bet that translates to being able to run farther and faster before hitting that dreaded wall.
You got it. You're basically getting more mileage out of your oxygen tank. So we've covered the why, the fantastic benefits of optimizing your cadence. But the big question now is how? How do we actually make those changes stick?
I was just going to ask that. Stay tuned, everyone, because in part 2 of this deep dive, we'll delve into those practical tips from Revo PT Denver and show you how to start incorporating cadence training into your running routine today. Okay, so let's dive into the HOW. How do we actually improve our cadence? Where do we even start?
Well, a great first step, according to Revo PT Denver, is knowing where you're at right now.
Okay, you mean literally counting my steps per minute?
Exactly. It's all about getting a baseline.
Hmm.
They actually have a super helpful YouTube video linked in their article that walks you through it.
Cool. I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, it's super simple. And once you know your current cadence, we can talk about gradually increasing it.
Okay, gradual is good. What kind of increase are we talking about here?
Well, they recommend a 5–10% increase over a few weeks.
So not like a massive jump overnight.
Right. So let's say your current cadence is around 160 steps per minute. You could aim for 165 and then slowly work your way up to that 170, 180 range.
Gotcha. But how does that actually translate to my stride? Like, what am I supposed to be feeling while I'm running?
Well, it's about shortening your stride, but, and this is important, it's not about speeding up your legs like you're running away from something.
Right.
Think about it more as decreasing the amount of time your foot's in contact with the ground. Aim for lighter, quicker steps.
Okay, so it's more about finesse than force.
Exactly. It's about being light and quick, not powerful and pounding. You want to almost like skim the surface with each step.
Okay, I think I can visualize that, but how do I actually train my body to do that? Like, are there specific drills I should be doing?
Definitely. There are a bunch of great drills out there. One classic technique is using a metronome.
Oh yeah, like what musicians use.
Exactly. You can set it to your target cadence and try to sync your steps to the beat.
So it's like having a little robot coach telling me how fast to step.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It really helps your body get used to that faster rhythm. And another great option is running to music. You can find playlists specifically designed for different cadences.
Cool, so I can literally run to the beat of my own cadence.
Yeah, exactly. And to really challenge yourself, you can vary the tempo during those drills. Start with your target cadence, then bump it up a bit, and then go back down.
Like interval training, but for cadence. I like it.
It keeps things interesting, and it helps you become more adaptable. But remember, the key here is consistency. It's about building that foundation over time. Don't try to change everything overnight.
Okay, that's reassuring. Baby steps, right? But speaking of building a foundation, I know we can't avoid the dreaded S word.
You mean strength training?
Yes. But I guess there's no way around it, right?
Not if you want to make those cadence changes stick. Strong core, hip, glute, and calf muscles are absolutely essential for that smooth, high-cadence stride. Think of them as your support system.
Okay, you've convinced me. But how much are we talking here? Do I need to become a powerlifter?
No, not at all. Even just a few sessions a week can make a huge difference. Focus on bodyweight exercises and targeted workouts. Planks, squats, lunges, anything that engages those stabilizing muscles.
Okay, so working smarter, not harder. Got it.
Exactly. Remember, strength training for running is all about functional strength, not bulk. It's about supporting those movements and making your running more efficient. But hold on, we're not quite done with cadence just yet.
Oh, there's more.
There are a few more things to consider, like how cadence changes depending on the terrain you're running on and how to fine-tune your cadence for different types of runs. All that in part 3.
All right, we're back and ready to tackle those extra layers of cadence. You mentioned terrain, so let's start there. We're not always running on a flat surface.
Right. And that makes cadence even more important. Whether you're dealing with hills, trails, or just uneven surfaces, cadence plays a huge role.
Okay, so how about hills? What should I be thinking about when I'm tackling an uphill? My legs are already working overtime.
Think about what naturally happens to your stride when you're going uphill. It gets shorter, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's like suddenly everything gets harder.
Exactly. You're battling gravity. And that's where maintaining a higher cadence can make a world of difference. It helps you power up those hills more efficiently. It's almost like shifting gears in a car.
Oh, that's a good analogy. Finding that right gear to climb.
Yeah.
So higher cadence for uphill battles. What about downhill?
Well, on downhills, you can actually let your stride lengthen a bit. Gravity's on your side there. But, and this is key, you still want to maintain control.
Right. Wouldn't want my legs to just take off on me. So it's about finding that balance, letting gravity do its thing while still staying in control.
Okay, and trails. I love trail running, but they definitely throw some extra challenges into the mix.
Oh, for sure. Trails. With all those twists and turns and roots and rocks, they demand adaptability. You're constantly adjusting, and that's where a higher cadence can really help. It keeps you light on your feet, ready for anything.
Yeah, that makes sense. So is it fair to say that those cadence drills we talked about earlier, they're good for trail running too?
100%. The more you practice varying your cadence, the better you'll be at handling any terrain. Uphill, downhill, sharp turns, you name it, your body will just know how to respond.
That's awesome. It's like building those trail running instincts. Okay, now, I got to ask about different types of runs. Should I be adjusting my cadence depending on whether I'm doing a recovery run, tempo run, intervals?
Great question. And the short answer is yes. Your cadence can definitely vary depending on the intensity of your run. On recovery runs, for example, you can afford to let your cadence drop a bit. So it's okay to relax a little and let those legs just cruise.
Yeah. Recovery runs are all about easy effort, letting your body recharge. But then, when you're doing a tempo run or interval training where you're pushing your limits, that's when dialing in a higher cadence becomes super important.
It's like I have different cadence gears for different workouts.
Love that analogy. And, as you become more experienced and in tune with your body, you'll start to feel what cadence is right for you in each situation.
Wow, this has been such a great deep dive. It's clear that cadence is way more than just some random number.
For sure. It really is about understanding how this one element can impact your entire running experience. From efficiency and injury prevention to endurance and performance, it's all connected.
So for any runners out there who maybe haven't been paying much attention to cadence, what's your final message for them?
I'd say take a moment to check in with your body. How does your running feel? Do you have any nagging injuries? Are you struggling to improve? And then start experimenting with your cadence, even small adjustments. You might be surprised at how much it can transform your running.
I think that's a great takeaway. It's not about making some radical change. It's about those small, consistent steps, literally, that can lead to big results. And remember, everyone, finding your optimal cadence is a journey. It's about what works best for you. So go out there, experiment, explore, and most importantly, enjoy the run.
Well said.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into cadence. Thanks for joining us, and happy running, everyone.